The universe is vast, indifferent, and merciless. Stars burn, die, and collapse in silence, oblivious of the fragile life clinging to the third planet of a small yellow sun. From the perspective of a civilization millions of years beyond humanity, we are barely a flicker, a statistical anomaly, an experiment in chaos. Our cities are fragile, our machines imperfect, our minds illogical. Yet within this chaos lies a force the galaxy has yet to comprehend. Humans survive where they should perish. Humans endure where logic dictates extinction. Humans adapt where reason demands surrender. The first signs were subtle, almost imperceptible. A probe disappeared at the edge of the solar system. Its signal scrambled, its trajectory inexplicably altered. Satellites vanished, and strange signals flickered across every continent. Initial analysis concluded natural anomalies, but careful observation revealed patterns. Something intelligent had arrived, something that watched, something beyond the scale of human understanding. Earth's militaries dismissed it. Governments argued over jurisdiction. Scientists screamed warnings ignored in the corridors of bureaucracy. Humanity's first mistake was complacency. When the first attack came, it was precise, devastating, and cold. Orbital defense arrays melted like glass. Communications burned. An illusion of human control evaporated. Entire cities were reduced to echoes of smoke and dust before alarms could sound. In their cold calculation, the invaders, creatures engineered for efficiency, evolution perfected into a weapon, considered us inconsequential. They labeled us weak, emotional, unpredictable. Yet it was precisely these traits that would begin to unravel their certainty. Humanity, fragile as we appeared, possessed an unpredictability their algorithms could not account for. Amid the chaos, humans acted not out of orders, but instinct. Civilian salvage vehicles to evacuate the wounded. Engineers repurposed civilian drones into reconnaissance swarms, and isolated units held ground with nothing but ingenuity and desperation. Cities may have fallen, but human spirit did not. Where they expected surrender, they found resistance. Where they anticipated despair, they found resolve. They underestimated our capacity to adapt. They had never faced beings who could turn fear into strategy, who could transform desperation into innovation. Leaders emerged from the shadows of ordinary life, figures forged not by hierarchy but by necessity. A scientist who had spent her life mapping exoplanets became a strategist, deciphering alien propulsion patterns to predict the trajectory of their strike forces. A farmer who had survived famine and disease organized guerrilla operations that turned ruined cities into traps. A child who understood computer games better than textbooks hacked alien surveillance protocols with ingenuity that astounded professional programmers. Humanity had no uniform, no centralized command, yet in our disorder lay creativity and adaptability no alien system could compute. The aliens believed war required perfection, precision, and control. Humans thrived in imperfection. We improvised. We created weapons from scraps, using debris and scavenged materials in ways no algorithm could predict. We fought with tools born from necessity rather than design. When conventional tactics failed, we invented new ones on the fly, exploiting every flaw, every assumption, every bias the invaders possessed. They analyzed, calculated, and corrected, but human unpredictability outpaced them. Every move we made was irrational, illogical, and devastatingly effective. In the early days, survival was our only goal. We clung to life with desperation that could not be simulated, for the aliens had no concept of fear as motivation, no understanding of hope as fuel. Humanity's greatest strength was emotional complexity, courage born from love, sacrifice born from loyalty, ingenuity born from necessity. Where they saw chaos, we saw opportunity. Where they saw weakness, we built resilience. Where they calculated boundaries, we exceeded them. Communication became our silent weapon. Messages relayed through improvised networks spread knowledge faster than the aliens could respond. Instructions, warnings, and strategies moved between cities and nations that had never collaborated, forging alliances born from urgency. Knowledge became power, and power became survival. Each victory, however small, carried meaning beyond mere survival. It was proof that humanity could endure, adapt, and outthink an opponent whose every instinct was control and order. Our scientists, long ignored, became architects of survival. They transformed civilian technology into offensive tools, augmented vehicles with reactive armor, and adapted chemical compounds into defensive countermeasures. Every calculation, every experiment, was guided by observation of the invaders' weaknesses. Where the aliens relied on perfection, we relied on learning, on iteration, on mistakes turned into strategy. Humanity, slow to organize, was fast to adapt. We learned from failure faster than the invaders could process success. The aliens had dismissed us as incapable of sustained resistance. They were wrong. Humans do not require perfection to survive. We require persistence. We do not need omniscience to succeed. We need curiosity. We do not need superiority to endure. We need willpower. Our weapons may have been crude, our strategies unconventional, but every act of defiance amplified our presence in the galaxy. Our determination resonated beyond the battlefield, turning the perception of weakness into a testament of ingenuity. Even in the face of annihilation, humans displayed unpredictability that machines could not anticipate. Pilots executed maneuvers that defied physics as measured by alien instrumentation. Engineers repurposed civilian spacecraft into makeshift warships. Entire regions coordinated simultaneous strikes using signals improvised from destroyed communication arrays. Every engagement, every skirmish became a lesson, a test, a demonstration that intelligence was more than computation. It was adaptability, creativity, and the refusal to surrender. The aliens studied our behavior and began to take note. Their calculations faltered. Their confidence wavered. They expected submission. They encountered resistance that evolved faster than any protocol could anticipate. Humanity's greatest weapon was not firepower, not numbers, not technology. It was our ability to adapt in ways no algorithm could predict. For every offensive they launched, we countered with an innovation born from necessity. For every territory they claimed, we found a new way to fight back. Our unpredictability became the axis of survival, the vector of retaliation. In every ruined city, in every destroyed village, in every burned-out vehicle, humans persisted. Children scavenged for water and food with ingenuity. Scientists transmitted knowledge using broken equipment. Soldiers improvised tactics from history, games, and instinct. We were disorganized, chaotic, and yet terrifyingly effective. The aliens had underestimated the most unpredictable element in the galaxy, the human mind, unbound by logic alone, capable of turning desperation into strategy and fear into weapon. As the first month of conflict ended, humanity began to understand its potential. We were not a perfected race of warriors, and that was our strength. We were unpredictable, emotional, irrational, and adaptive. Every limitation became an opportunity. Every failure became a lesson. Humanity was no longer merely reacting. It was learning, adapting, evolving under fire. Each loss was a lesson, each mistake a catalyst for innovation. Where the aliens had assumed fragility, they encountered strategy born not from hierarchy but from necessity. Our engineers transformed wreckage into weapons. Civilians became scouts, and soldiers no longer relied solely on orders. They improvised. Humanity discovered that survival was not about perfection, but about creativity under pressure, and in this we excelled. The first deliberate strike against the invaders was not led by generals, but by a coalition of scientists, pilots, and engineers who refused to wait for bureaucratic permission. They analyzed alien movements with tools no one had thought to combine, tracking weak points in their formations, gaps in their defenses. Using improvised spacecraft and repurposed orbital satellites, they launched an offensive that was neither conventional nor predictable. The attack was a mosaic of human creativity, exploiting every flaw, every assumption, every moment the aliens overlooked. Information became the weapon of choice. Networks of communication, cobbled together from destroyed systems, allowed humanity to coordinate across continents and orbital stations. Messages transmitted through untraceable channels carried strategies, warnings, and improvisations. No algorithm could anticipate the fluidity of human thought. Where aliens expected patterns, they encountered adaptability. Where they calculated probabilities, they encountered improvisation. Every communication was a strike in itself. Every plan a ripple that altered the flow of battle before a single projectile was fired. Humans employed tactics that defied conventional logic. Engineers modified civilian drones to act as decoys, luring alien forces into traps where terrain, improvisation, and ingenuity amplified their effectiveness. Pilots flew unpredictable routes, combining maneuvers derived from old war manuals, computer simulations, and instinctual daring. Civilians armed with makeshift weapons and intelligence data executed operations that the aliens dismissed as improbable, and yet they succeeded. Our unpredictability became our advantage, and with every success, human confidence grew. The aliens, observing from above, recalculated endlessly, yet their strategies faltered. They had perfected efficiency, but efficiency required predictability, and humans had none. We adapted faster than they could model, changed tactics mid-battle, and exploited flaws they assumed did not exist. Their weapons were designed for precise targets, but humans rarely presented such targets. We were chaotic, we were creative, and in this chaos, we struck with devastating effectiveness. Every victory reinforced the core principle that humans were a species of improvisers. A scientist, whose background was in astrophysics, reprogrammed a satellite to intercept alien communications, turning their own signals against them. A farmer-turned-commander used knowledge of terrain to orchestrate ambushes that shattered advanced reconnaissance units. Civilians turned into medics, engineers, and strategists, demonstrating that survival depended on the adaptability of every mind, not just a trained few. Our ingenuity multiplied exponentially because we refused to be constrained by conventional roles. Morality, often seen as a liability in war, became a tool in human hands. Decisions were difficult, ethically complex, and emotionally charged. We negotiated, compromised, and sometimes chose compassion, even when the cost was strategic advantage. This unpredictability in moral decision-making confounded alien calculations. Their algorithms could not model choices influenced by loyalty, empathy, or instinctive morality. Humanity's emotional depth was as formidable as any weapon. It created outcomes the invaders could not anticipate. We turned scarcity into opportunity. Limited resources became catalysts for invention. Engineers turned debris into armor, civilian vehicles into transport for rapid deployment, and energy sources meant for survival into offensive power. Humanity did not wait for perfection. We improvised relentlessly. Every failure was dissected, every setback transformed into a tactical advantage. Our innovation was iterative, rapid, and relentless. We were not optimized, we were adaptive. We did not rely on absolute knowledge. We relied on intuition, imagination, and observation, and in this, we surpassed their precision. The first major offensive operation demonstrated humanity's growing mastery over improvisation. Entire fleets of makeshift spacecraft, assembled from civilian and military scraps, coordinated simultaneous attacks across multiple fronts. The aliens, expecting predictable routes and timelines, were blindsided by maneuvers that combined speed, deception, and human creativity. Ships swerved unpredictably. Drones acted as diversions, and orbital bombardments were executed with a timing that made interception impossible. What was improvised and chaotic to an observer became a symphony of human ingenuity in execution. Psychological tactics became a pillar of strategy. We learned to exploit alien assumptions, understanding that their intelligence was perfect but inflexible. Signals were manipulated to suggest larger forces. Empty corridors were booby-trapped, and misinformation campaigns destabilized their decision-making. Fear, confusion, and uncertainty became as potent as any physical weapon. Humans had mastered not only the art of battle, but the science of perception, turning unpredictability into a weapon with global consequences. Victory was never complete in these early engagements, yet each success reverberated beyond immediate outcomes. Civilians regained hope, soldiers gained confidence, and scientists saw their theoretical knowledge transformed into practical solutions. The aliens' confidence wavered. Their superiority was unquestioned. Yet every encounter revealed that our unpredictability, our ingenuity, and our ability to adapt under pressure made us far more dangerous than raw numbers or technology alone suggested. Innovation was a constant process. Engineers designed hybrid weapons that combined alien technology with human improvisation. Communication systems were hacked, rerouted, and expanded. We learned to anticipate alien behavior by observing patterns and breaking them through randomness. Where they assumed a logical response, we responded with unpredictability. a variable their calculations could not accommodate. Every encounter became a lesson. Every skirmish a classroom where the curriculum was survival, and the subject was human adaptability. The aliens underestimated collaboration. Humanity's unity was emergent, decentralized, and organic. Individuals connected through networks of necessity, improvising coordination without a rigid hierarchy. Teams formed and dissolved dynamically, combining skills and knowledge in real time. Decisions were made by the people with the most immediate understanding, not the highest rank. The result was a fluid system, responsive, flexible, and unpredictable. Where aliens relied on command chains, we relied on connection, improvisation, and initiative. Small victories accumulated into strategic advantage. Territories that had been considered lost were reclaimed using tactics that blended ingenuity with patience. Engineers rerouted power to trap alien units. Pilots lured them into ambushes, and civilians sabotaged supply chains with ingenuity born of desperation. Humans did not need to match. Humanity had grown beyond mere survival. The initial chaos, the improvisation under fire, and the counteroffensives had forged a species capable of confronting what no one had believed we could endure. We had turned vulnerability into strength, unpredictability into strategy, and despair into resolve. The aliens had anticipated a fragile species, incapable of coordinated resistance, yet they now face a force that defied expectation, a species whose ingenuity and spirit exceeded their calculations. The final confrontation was not a battle fought by superior weaponry alone. It was a contest of adaptability, creativity, and human will. Each individual contributed, not because of orders, but because necessity demanded it. Engineers turned civilian drones into tactical weapons. Hackers manipulated alien communications. And civilians coordinated intelligence networks that rivaled the most advanced artificial minds. Our advantage was neither quantity nor precision. It was a human mind itself, capable of turning chaos into opportunity, desperation into strategy, and improvisation into victory. The aliens relied on assumptions that humans were illogical, emotional, and fragile. Every tactic they employed assumed linear thought, predictable behavior, and a lack of creativity. Humanity shattered each assumption. Pilots executed maneuvers that defied mathematical modeling. Strategists improvised multi-layered defenses on the fly. Scientists transformed limited resources into powerful tools of survival. We turned scarcity into ingenuity, weakness into strength, and unpredictability into an unassailable advantage. Our attacks became a symphony of improvisation. Fleets moved in patterns that could not be anticipated. Decoys and feints multiplied the apparent size of our forces, and improvised weaponry created effects the aliens had never encountered. Civilians on the ground executed sabotage missions that disrupted supply lines, while orbital units rerouted energy flows to trap enemy craft in defensive zones. Every engagement was a testament to human adaptability. The aliens had never faced an opponent who learned, evolved, and innovated faster than they could calculate. Even in victory, humanity retained its moral depth. Decisions were complex, weighing survival against ethics, strategy against compassion. Where the aliens followed algorithms for optimal destruction, humans chose paths that reflected empathy and foresight. We understood that winning a war was not just about defeating the opponent. It was about preserving the essence of humanity. Our victories were never cold calculations. They were a testament to our ingenuity, adaptability, and ethical complexity. The turning point came not with a single strike, but with the cumulative effect of countless human actions. Each improvisation, each innovation, each act of courage and intellect compounded, creating momentum the aliens could not counter. Their precision could not adapt to human unpredictability. Their efficiency faltered against our creativity. Their supremacy crumbled before the unyielding force of improvisation, collaboration, and willpower. Humans have become a species that no technology could dominate, no algorithm could predict, and no opponent could fully understand. Technology alone did not define the outcome. Our greatest weapon was adaptability. Engineers modified alien tech to serve our purposes. Pilots leveraged intuition to outmaneuver opponents. Civilians transformed into medics, strategists, and coordinators, turning every individual into a node in an adaptive, decentralized network. The invaders' calculations faltered at every turn. They had measured strength in firepower, speed, and durability, but humans measured strength in creativity, resilience, and the unquantifiable power of will. Every skirmish, every engagement reinforced the principle that humans were unpredictable by design. Where the aliens anticipated patterns, humans deviated. Where they calculated logic, humans improvised. Where they relied on efficiency, humans adapted. Our victories were neither perfect nor expected. They were human, chaotic, and relentless. The galaxy had never witnessed a species capable of turning vulnerability into advantage, improvisation into strategy, and chaos into triumph. Humanity's collective mind had evolved under pressure. Networks of communication allowed instantaneous adaptation, coordination, and strategic foresight. Decisions were decentralized, dynamic, and creative. Leaders emerged based on context rather than hierarchy. Engineers contributed beyond their expertise, and civilians became active participants in the survival of the species. The aliens had relied on structure, predictability, and rigid logic. Humanity relied on connection, adaptation, and creativity. The outcome was inevitable. As the final battles unfolded, humans demonstrated an unprecedented synthesis of strategy, ingenuity, and emotional intelligence. We lured alien forces into traps that exploited assumptions about human behavior. Improvised weapons neutralized superior firepower. Deception, misdirection, and unpredictability became as potent as any conventional armament. Every move we made was fluid, adaptive, and unexpected. The aliens faced a species that could evolve faster than they could calculate, innovate faster than they could counter, and endure longer than they could predict. Victory was not sudden. It was a culmination of relentless adaptation. Every sacrifice, every experiment, every improvisation contributed to a force greater than the sum of its parts. Humans had learned to use chaos as a weapon, creativity as armor, and resilience as a shield. The invaders had never encountered an opponent whose strength was defined not by tools or technology, but by the relentless capacity to adapt, learn, and innovate. The final surrender of the alien forces was not due to brute strength. It was the acknowledgement of a species that could not be measured, predicted, or controlled. Humanity had demonstrated that survival depended not on perfection, but on adaptability. That victory relied not on superiority of force, but on creativity under pressure. That the human mind, with all its unpredictability, emotional depth, and capacity for improvisation, was a galaxy's ultimate weapon. In the aftermath, humanity reflected on the cost, the growth, and the transformation. Entire systems have been rebuilt, strategies refined, and societies adapted to a new understanding of what it meant to survive. Humans were no longer fragile observers of the cosmos. We were active participants, capable of defying expectations, overcoming impossibilities, and asserting our presence against forces that had once seemed invincible. The lessons of survival became the foundation for a new era. Knowledge gained under fire transformed into technology, education, and culture. Civilians, engineers, scientists, and soldiers shared experiences that shaped innovation and collaboration. The capacity to adapt, to improvise, and act unpredictably became ingrained in the very structure of human civilization. Humanity had discovered that its true strength was neither in weapons nor numbers, but in the mind's ability to create, adapt, and endure. Humanity had not been born for war, yet war had revealed what we were made for. Conflict had exposed our resilience, ingenuity, and capacity to evolve under pressure. Every obstacle had been an opportunity, every loss a lesson, every improvisation a path to mastery. We had faced annihilation and emerged not only intact but transformed.